You know that feeling, don't you? That heavy, suffocating blanket of inertia that wraps itself around you when you know exactly what you need to do, but you just can't. You sit there, paralyzed, scrolling through your phone, watching another episode, finding another distraction, while that voice in the back of your mind whispers relentlessly, "You're wasting time. You're falling behind. You're letting yourself down." I'm not here to shame you for that feeling. I'm not here to tell you you're weak or undisciplined or broken. I'm here to tell you something far more important. Laziness isn't your enemy. It's a symptom. It's a signal. And today, we're going to decode that signal together and learn how to push through it, not with brute force, but with understanding, strategy, and an unshakable commitment to the person you know you can become. Let's start by dismantling a dangerous myth that laziness is a character flaw, a moral failing, something fundamentally wrong with who you are. This belief is poisonous because it turns your struggle into your identity. You don't just feel lazy, you believe you're lazy. And when laziness becomes who you are rather than what you're experiencing, you've already lost the battle. Laziness is almost never about laziness. It's about fear dressed up in comfortable clothes. It's about overwhelm masquerading as apathy. It's about perfectionism pretending to be procrastination. When you can't start that project, it's not because you're inherently lazy. It's because some part of you is terrified of failing, of being judged, of confirming the worst suspicions you have about yourself. So your brain does what brains do best when they're scared. They protect you by keeping you exactly where you are. Think about it. When was the last time you felt lazy about something you were genuinely excited about? When you're passionate, when you're energized, when you can see the path forward clearly, laziness evaporates like morning fog. You don't have to force yourself to play a game you love, to talk to someone who fascinates you, to pursue a hobby that lights you up inside. The energy is just there. So if laziness appears when the energy disappears, the question isn't, how do I become less lazy? The question is, what's draining my energy and what's blocking my path forward? Let me share something that changed my entire perspective on productivity and motivation. Your energy isn't infinite. It's not a moral quality you either have or don't have. It's a resource like fuel in a tank, and everything you do either adds to it or depletes it. Most people who struggle with laziness are running on empty, trying to force themselves to perform with nothing left in the tank. Then they wonder why willpower isn't working. Willpower is like a muscle that gets tired. You can't bench press 300 pounds if you haven't eaten in 3 days, no matter how much mental toughness you think you have. So before we talk about pushing through laziness, we need to talk about the fundamentals that make pushing through possible. Are you sleeping enough? Not just lying in bed scrolling, but actually sleeping, letting your brain clean itself, letting your body recover. Are you eating real food that nourishes you? Or are you running on caffeine and sugar, creating energy spikes that crash and leave you more depleted than before? Are you moving your body? I don't care if it's a 5-minute walk or a full workout. Movement creates energy. Stagnation breeds stagnation. Your body was designed to move, and when it doesn't, everything slows down, including your mind, your motivation, your belief in your own capability, and here's the one nobody wants to hear. Are you protecting your mental energy from the constant assault of digital distraction? Every notification, every scroll, every context switch costs you energy. Your brain isn't lazy. It's exhausting from being in 17 places at once, never fully present anywhere, never experiencing the deep satisfaction of focused work completed. Take care of the fundamentals, not because they're a magic cure, but because they give you the baseline energy you need to even begin the fight. Let me give you a weapon that's so simple it sounds stupid, but it's devastatingly effective. When you're facing something you don't want to do, when laziness has its grip on you, commit to just 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes. Don't think about the whole project. Don't think about the hour of work ahead. Just think, I will do this for 2 minutes, and then I can stop if I want to. Here's what happens. Starting is always the hardest part. Your brain catastrophizes the task ahead, makes it seem impossible, creates all this resistance. But once you start, once you're 2 minutes in, the resistance dissolves. You realize it's not as bad as you thought. You find a rhythm. You get a little momentum, and momentum is magic. Most of the time, you won't stop at 2 minutes. You'll keep going because you're already moving. But even if you do stop, you've won. You've broken the pattern of complete avoidance. You've proved to yourself that you can start, that you're not completely powerless against inertia. Tomorrow, those 2 minutes might become 5, then 10. Then you won't need to trick yourself anymore because you'll have rebuilt your belief in your own capability. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. Every time you push through laziness and do the thing you said you'd do, you're not just completing a task. You're reinforcing an identity. You're not someone who's trying to be disciplined. You're someone who's disciplined. You're not someone who wants to be a writer. You are a writer who writes. You're not hoping to become healthier. You are someone who makes healthy choices. This distinction might seem subtle, but it changes everything. When your identity shifts, behavior becomes natural rather than forced. You don't have to constantly battle yourself because you're not fighting who you are. You're expressing who you are. So when laziness whispers, just skip it today, it doesn't matter, you respond not with willpower but with identity. That's not who I am. I'm someone who follows through. I'm someone who keeps promises to myself. Build that identity one small action at a time. Make your bed every morning, not because it's some profound accomplishment, but because you're someone who does what they say they'll do. Keep one small promise to yourself every single day. Watch how that compounds over time into an unshakable belief in your own integrity. We live in the most comfortable era in human history, and it's making us miserable. Think about that paradox for a second. We have temperature-controlled environments, food delivered to our door, endless entertainment at our fingertips, technology that eliminates almost every physical hardship our ancestors faced. And yet, rates of depression, anxiety, and feeling stuck are skyrocketing. Here's why. Humans aren't designed for constant comfort. We're designed for challenge, for overcoming obstacles, for the satisfaction that comes from struggling towards something meaningful. When everything is easy, nothing is satisfying. When we eliminate all discomfort, we eliminate all growth. Laziness thrives in comfort. It whispers, why make things harder? Just stay where it's safe, where it's easy, where you don't have to risk anything. And every time you listen to that voice, you make your world smaller. You trade short-term comfort for long-term dissatisfaction. The cure isn't making yourself miserable. It's understanding that some discomfort is the price of growth, and that price is worth paying. When you're pushing through laziness, you're not just fighting to complete a task. You're fighting for your right to grow, to expand, to discover what you're actually capable of. Embrace the suck, not in a masochistic way, but in a liberating way. When something is hard, when you don't feel like doing it, recognize that as the exact moment when doing it matters most. That's the moment when you're actually building the person you want to become. People are terrified of failing, so they stay stuck in laziness. They don't try. If you don't try, you can't fail, right? You can maintain the comfortable delusion that you could succeed if you really wanted to, that you're not actually incapable, just unmotivated. But it's cowardice dressed up as self-protection, and I say that with love because I've been there. I've hidden behind laziness to avoid confronting my own limitations. I've convinced myself I don't care about things I desperately care about because caring makes you vulnerable. Let me tell you what I learned. Failure is data. It's feedback. It is the only way you actually learn anything worth knowing. Every successful person you admire has failed more times than most people have tried. The difference is they didn't let failure become their identity. They failed, learned, adjusted, and tried again. When you push through laziness and try something, even if you fail, you're winning. You're gathering information. You're building resilience. You're proving to yourself that failure isn't fatal, that you can handle discomfort, that you're stronger than you thought. The only real failure is the failure to try, because that failure is guaranteed. It's the one outcome you ensure by staying stuck. Social media has given us an unprecedented ability to compare ourselves to everyone, all the time. We see people's highlight reels and compare them to our behind-the-scenes struggles. We see someone crushing their goals and feel pathetic about our own slow progress. This constant comparison is gasoline on the fire of laziness because it makes everything feel pointless. Why bother? I'm so far behind. Other people are naturally talented, naturally disciplined, and naturally successful. I'm just not. Stop. Stop right there. You're comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. You're comparing your internal experience, with all its messiness and doubt and struggle, to someone else's carefully curated external presentation. The only person you should be comparing yourself to is who you were yesterday. That's it. That's the only comparison that matters. Are you 1% better than you were? Did you push through when yesterday you didn't? Did you show up when yesterday you hid? Progress isn't linear. Some days you'll take 3 steps forward. Some days you'll take 2 steps back. The trend over time is what matters, not the moment-to-moment fluctuations. Trust the process. Trust that small, consistent actions compound into massive results, even when you can't see the progress in real time. You're trying to push through laziness with willpower alone, but your entire environment is set up to make laziness the path of least resistance. Your phone is next to your bed. Your workspace is cluttered and uninspiring. Your fridge is full of junk food. Your default social circle talks about dreams, but doesn't take action. You can't win a battle when the battlefield is rigged against you. Change your environment, and you change your behavior automatically, without requiring constant willpower. Want to wake up earlier? Put your alarm across the room so you have to stand up to turn it off. Want to eat healthier? Don't buy junk food. You can't eat what isn't there. Want to work more productively? Create a space that's dedicated to work, that signals to your brain, this is where we focus. And pay attention to the people you surround yourself with. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you're surrounded by people who enable your excuses, who validate your laziness, who pull you back toward comfort every time you try to grow, you're fighting with one hand tied behind your back. Find people who are on the path you want to be on. Find people who will hold you accountable not through judgment, but through example. Find people who believe in growth, in improvement, in pushing through when things get hard. Here's the deepest reason people struggle with laziness, the one that underlies all the others. They don't know why they're doing what they're doing. They're pursuing goals that don't actually matter to them, checking boxes that society or family or peers told them to check, climbing a ladder that's leaning against the wrong wall. If you don't have a compelling reason why, you'll never find the energy to push through the how. Viktor Frankl survived concentration camps by maintaining a sense of meaning and purpose. He wrote, "Those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how." So ask yourself, why does this matter? Not the surface answer, but the deep answer. Why do you want to build this business, create this art, improve your health, develop this skill? What does it connect to in your core values? How does it serve something larger than your immediate comfort? When you connect your daily actions to a sense of meaning and purpose, laziness loses most of its power. You're not dragging yourself through meaningless drudgery. You're taking steps on a journey that matters deeply to you. That reframe changes everything. If you can't find the why, maybe you're pursuing the wrong what. And that's okay. Give yourself permission to let go of goals that don't actually resonate with who you are and what you care about. Life is too short to spend it forcing yourself to care about things you don't actually care about. Surprisingly, being harsh with yourself doesn't work. All that negative self-talk, all that criticism, all that berating yourself for being lazy and undisciplined, it's making the problem worse, not better. When you treat yourself like an enemy, you create an adversarial relationship with yourself. You spend energy fighting yourself instead of channeling that energy toward actually moving forward. You reinforce the belief that you're broken, that you're not good enough, that you need to be constantly vigilant against your own worst instincts. Research shows that self-compassion, not self-criticism, is what actually leads to sustainable change. When you treat yourself with kindness, when you acknowledge that struggling is part of being human, when you give yourself grace for falling short, you create the psychological safety needed to take risks, to try again, to keep going even when it's hard. This doesn't mean making excuses or letting yourself off the hook. It means treating yourself the way you treat a good friend who's struggling. You be honest with them about where they're going wrong, but you'd also be encouraging, supportive, understanding. You'd help them see the path forward without making them feel worthless. Be that friend to yourself. When you fail to push through laziness, when you fall back into old patterns, don't catastrophize. Don't spiral into, I'm such a failure. I'll never change. What's wrong with me? Instead, pause. Acknowledge what happened without judgment. I didn't do what I said I would do. I felt overwhelmed and chose comfort instead. That's okay. That's human. What can I learn from this? What will I do differently next time? Self-compassion gives you the emotional foundation to keep trying. Harshness makes you want to give up. Pushing through laziness isn't about becoming a productivity machine. It's not about optimizing every moment, about never resting, about turning yourself into some inhuman achievement robot. It's about reclaiming your agency. It's about living intentionally instead of by default. It's about having the freedom to choose discomfort in service of something meaningful rather than being trapped in comfortable stagnation. Some days you'll push through and it will feel amazing. Other days you'll push through and it will feel like trudging through mud. Both are valuable. Both are building the person you're becoming. Some days you need rest like real rest, not the fake rest of numbing yourself with distractions. Real rest is recovery. It's necessary. It's strategic. Learn the difference between resting and avoiding, between recovering and hiding. This is a long game. You're not trying to transform overnight. You're trying to build a life over years and decades where you consistently move toward things that matter despite the resistance, where you have the capability to push through when it counts, where laziness is something you experience sometimes, not something that defines you. Every single moment, you have a choice. Not the choice to feel motivated or not. Not the choice to have willpower or not. But the choice to take one small action or not. To start or not start. To keep the promise or break it. Laziness will always be there, whispering its seductive lies. Tomorrow, later, it doesn't matter. You can't do it anyway. Why bother? That voice will never completely go away. But neither will the other voice. The one that knows what you're capable of. The one that remembers every time you surprise yourself by pushing through. The one that sees the person you could become if you just kept going. Which voice will you listen to? Not forever. Not for the rest of your life. Just for the next 2 minutes. Just for the next small action. Just for today. You're not lazy. You are human. Facing human struggles. Fighting human battles. But you're also capable of extraordinary things when you decide to push through. So decide. Decide that you're done hiding behind laziness. Decide that you're willing to be uncomfortable in service of growth. Decide that the person you're becoming matters more than the temporary relief of staying exactly where you are, and then prove it. Not with words, not with wishes, but with action, with one small step, with the courage to start. The rest will follow. I promise you that. The momentum will build. The identity will shift. The life you want will emerge from the actions you take. But it starts now. It starts with you. It starts with the choice to push through. So push.